when multiplying radicals, the important step is to multiply first and then look to simplify. Don't just multiply and move on. You may need to do further simplification from there. Multiplying the square root of 3 times the square root of 5 is the same as the square root of 3 times 5 or the square root of 15. Once we have combined the two into one radical statement, we need to ask ourselves, can we simplify this radical? Does it have any perfect square factors? 15 does not have any perfect square factors, so it is simplified just as it is. When we look through here, there's really two things that we should recognize. The first is that we are taking two identical things and then multiplying them together. So that's going to produce something. We have the square root of 5x times the square root of 5x. So if we were to expand this out, we would have 5 times 5, which is 25, and then x times x, which is x squared. So the square root of 25x squared, well, the square root of 25 is 5, and the square root of x squared is x. So we are left here with 5x, which was the original radicand. Again, when we take a radical of a radicand to the that's an index of 2, so the square root, and we multiply it by the same radicand, the square root, we are going to wind up with that original radicand now outside of the square root symbol. In this one here, we have the square root of 2 times the square root of 6. So the first step, just like we did up here, is to multiply straight out. So this is the square root of 2 times 6, or the square root of 12. But unlike here, where we couldn't simplify what was left under the radical, we can simplify this radicand. The square root of 12 is the same as the square root of 4 times 3, and the square root of 4 is the perfect square, so that one can come out as 2 radical 3. To double check that a radical is simplified, we can raise the whole thing to the power of the original index. So we have the square root of 12, which had an index of 2. 2 squared is 4. The square root of 3 squared is 3. 4 times 3 is 12. That was our original radicand, so we know we have simplified this properly. Same idea here and here. If we have 3 radical 2 squared, well, that really means we're going to take 3 squared and we're going to multiply that by radical 2 squared. 3 times 3 is 9. Radical 2 times radical 2 is 2, which comes out to 18.